Okay, do I have I'm gonna ask for a motion to return to regular session? Okay, Barb,
Support.
Dawn, and then we'll take a roll call. Andrew?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So real quick, before we ask for the motion for the board, are there any clarifying questions that you may have? I know we have our athletic director here, we have Mrs. Taylor here, both of the ones that issued the suspension as well as the additional athletic decisions. I would just ask that cautious about regarding the confidentiality of the student, but if there are any clarifying questions regarding the closed session.
I guess I have one question for the athletic director. Is it normal for practice to continue when a coach is not present?
Any questions about the, I told you my opinion. I think regarding both, I do commend Mrs. Taylor for the work regarding that, the hearing, the process, the detail. Those are not easy decisions. We've been in them before together. She does an amazing job. I know we also do not, she's not in there alone. It makes it seem like it because her name's and everything. There is somebody else from central office that is also in those hearings. Mrs. Thomas was in the hearing for that one. I've been in there before. Mrs. Armstrong's been in there before. I even think Mr. Briggs might have been there once or twice. So those are tough decisions that they have to make. And they take time. They're not made quickly in this spur of the moment. There's also additional information that's gathered even afterwards before decisions are made. As well as athletics. I know you understand the volume of athletes we have and the scope of athletics, as it's not just during the school day. These decisions sometimes take place, practices are after school, events that take place. You talk about spring break trips with sports teams. I mean, there's a lot to it. I can tell you, our athletic department does an amazing job making sure there's attention to detail and follow through. And there's just a very close conversation with the high school administration who was in the hearing talking about the implications. In the chart that was referenced, keep in mind, there's also a portion of that which has been referenced that there are things that fall outside of that or just simply that. So our recommendation, our board recommendation.
Okay. I'd like to thank my fellow board members also for taking time out of your day. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're gonna have two different motions we're gonna talk about here. The first one has to do with the suspension. And I would like a motion to uphold, extend, or reduce the suspension.
I'd like to make a motion to uphold the suspension.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, so Dawn is motion to uphold the suspension, second by Andrew.
Discussion.
Any discussion on that? I tend to agree with that motion.
Can I ask for the board to take a roll call vote only because it's a student?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, Dawn?
Yes.
Greg, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we have just voted to uphold the suspension as is, the 16-day suspension. The next motion I'm going to make is the athletic part of our discussion, and that is either to uphold the ban or reduce it. Do I have a motion on that?
I'd like the motion to uphold the ban.
Okay, Andrew, and do I have a second on that?
Support.
Support from Dawn, and then we'll just take
Any discussion?
any discussion on that?
And the ban is for his entire, the remaining time that he's in Hudsonville for 2 years, correct?
A little over 2. He decided spring sport, but yes, to that point, his junior and the rest of the sophomore year, junior and senior.
And so we're making a decision today based on the motion on the table. There is an opportunity potentially for
Anytime there is a permanent removal. I will say this from I'm gonna go to expulsions, because this is the athletics are different worlds. It was said that this is a privilege, I think Mrs. Stevens said it, that the board can always revisit it, the athletic department can always revisit it, moving forward. If it were required, then once it's done, it's done. This is not. So we technically would say, after 90, before 180, they could come back and say, hey, listen, here's what we've been doing. Is there any chance X, Y, and Z? It would start with our athletic department and go from there. So I'm not setting this up so that every 6 weeks he gets an email saying, what do you think about now? What do you think about now? I think the board makes a decision, and then it's back to the athletic department moving forward.
So could they make a petition to rejoin next season?
They always can, yes. And that's with anything that's not even an expulsion, that the board has a hearing and expels, they can not appeal your decision's final, but they can request reinstatement after a certain amount of time. Normally it's not, for expulsions, it's 190 to 180 unless it's state required, and then you can.
And can you go over the chart again that was referenced?
Go. Can you?
I can, I have the chart in front of me, if it helps.
Okay.
So tier 3 violations include use or possession of alcohol, illegal drugs, tobacco, etc., vaping, misuse of social media, but then also it includes any suspension from school between 8 to 10 days. And here the student was suspended for 16 days. A first offense for that is 40% of the season. However, outside of the chart, but still in the athletic code of conduct, it says in extreme or serious situations, or in the event of something that might be deemed a felony under a criminal code, an athlete may be permanently banned from interscholastic athletic participation regardless of a prior record. So if it's an extreme or serious situation, then the athletic director may permanently ban a student from Hudsonville interscholastic athletics.
Is that interpreted?
Yeah,
And,
it does.
and for me, just taking a look at the other student that was involved, that for me makes it an extreme or serious situation, and I would like to see, how that plays itself out. And the fact that they do have the opportunity to come back to the administration next year and request a follow-up leads me to stay with the upholding of from my perspective. Any other discussion? Any other questions?
Has there been any, I want to go back to not having a coach. We know that boys
Yeah.
And even that would be, I think, more a question of a policy we would have to look at versus it doesn't change the action of the student.
Barbie, have anything else?
Can you just read the chart one more time for me? It's 40% of the season if it's a level 3.
40% of the season for a first offense for level 3, which includes being suspended from school for 8 to 10 days.
With them following down, if you could go back to that, because I think
Yes.
that is key in this situation.
And then outside of the tier system itself, it says in extreme or serious situations, an athlete may be permanently banned from interscholastic athletics participation regardless of prior record. So even if it's a first offense, if it is extreme or serious enough in your mind, the student could be permanently banned, subject to, as the superintendent indicated, sort of a petition to be reinstated.
Thank you.
Again, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Okay, any
Oh, unless, I'm sorry, I found that help. But in this, she did not include the portion that was just stated by Mr. Mark.
Correct.
And can I just ask another question? The suspension. Dr. Taylor, what made you change it from a 10-day to a 16-day?
Yeah, I think that some of those decisions were in direct connection to the severity and the impact on the other student. Additionally, we had some follow-up conversation that then led to my determination for extending that because he had difficulty articulating why. And so then that connects to the idea, if you don't really understand why, how do we ensure it doesn't happen again? Also had difficulty really being able to articulate and respond to what would you need to do differently to avoid it happening. And then really that third factor of just challenges with perspective taking. So wanting to ensure that alongside the restorative practices that there was a clear message about the severity of this and the impact.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Roll call vote.
So what we're gonna have a roll call vote now on upholding the athletic ban as is.
Yes.
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 Okay, so the athletic ban then will be upheld as is placed right now. Okay, we need a motion on that. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
So,
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.